Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Here we are, another day. Living the dream. Creating memories. Let's do it. What's going on then?
Last night was not good.
I know, that's why I was a bit sad tone. Sense the tone. It wasn't a good day yesterday.
No, and I only have myself to blame, which makes it even more frustrating, but I lost 10,000 words of a book that I'm writing. I thought everything had been saved into the cloud, because that's usually where I save everything. So I was like, my file's not there. Let's go to the cloud. Went to the cloud, and it was full, which meant the latest backup of the file that I needed was 10,000 words less. And I tried everything. I know there's going to be a bunch of comments being like, well, have you tried this and have you done this? The answer is yes.
I guess it just wasn't saving.
Yeah, it just wasn't saving. It just wasn't saving to the cloud. And it was saving to my Mac, obviously.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. I honestly cannot tell you how the file on my Mac got deleted. I don't know what happened there. I have no idea.
Sometimes it happens though. It happened to me like a while back where I felt like the file was saving directly to my PC, but then I cleared out my what's it called? OneDrive, I think Microsoft's version of the cloud is.
Yeah.
And it just all went from my PC as well. So they're all connected. So
yeah, it just takes you deleting one thing from one place and then it goes on all places, which I feel like is a huge flaw.
Really weird.
But I know I deleted loads of videos yesterday, but why would the document have been saved in a video file? I honestly don't know, and there's no point in me dwelling on it because it's gone. I've made my peace with the fact that it's gone, and I just need to rewrite, and the silver lining is that I'll just rewrite it better the second time.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And it'll be faster naturally. You sort of know where those 10,000 words lead to.
Well, I managed to rewrite 2,500 words last night, so I'm like quarter of the way there.
Yeah.
But it's just...
so frustrating.
It's just so frustrating because I always find the first 20,000 words the hardest. So to then have half of that go, I'm now back in a territory that's I find really frustrating naturally anyway.
But you've extended or increased your storage for iCloud now, haven't you? So you have more storage.
Yeah. I mean, you pay £1,000 for a Mac.
Yeah.
And then they're like, but this doesn't have enough storage to store all the things that you need, so now you have to pay $6.99 a month for extra iCloud storage. It's I just don't understand, why are you spending just so much money to then spend even more money? Yeah, I spend money on what do I spend it on? I think I spend it on OneDrive. Again, that's what it's called. Yeah, it is called OneDrive.
And I think I've got a Dropbox one as well. Goes at my account. So I've got a larger Dropbox.
So I never use Dropbox.
Don't you?
No.
No, I use it.
People send me stuff, but it's like they send me a link to their Dropbox. It's like they share their Dropbox, so I've never had any use to have one.
Yeah, no, I've got a Dropbox.
And I have an external hard drive. It was just in a box somewhere because everything's in boxes still.
Yeah, that's the only thing you could do, but then again, practicality-wise, that's why people don't really use the external hard drives anymore, is that you can't download it anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Or
it's the fact that you've got to carry it around everywhere.
So that's why people use the iCloud and stuff, but
whatever, there's no point in dwelling on it now. I've lost it, it's gone, it sucks, but there's nothing I can do about it. I had my meltdown about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Today should have been my final day at Les Mis. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Bit sad. I mean, I feel sad, but I know I feel less sad than I would had this actually been my final day. Had I been at work for the last couple months and this was my final performance, I would have been a mess. I would have been devastated. It would have been horrible.
That would have been a bad 2 days as well.
Yeah, that would have been a horrendous couple of days.
Are you going to do anything with the cast? Are they going to do a Zoom call?
There's we've got a Les Mis quiz tonight, which
nice.
Rich Carson puts together every now and again. So yeah, I'm going to join that tonight.
Yeah, we did a Zoom call for Back to the Future when that ended. Obviously we finished before our official end date. So on our official end date, which was the 18th of May, I think, we all got on the Zoom call and just said hello, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, well, this would have just been my last night.
Yeah.
Everyone else would have been carrying on until October,
oh, right.
But because of Cinderella, my contract ended July.
Today,
yeah. Today.
The Les Mis chapter is not closed. It's just put to a side, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll come back at some point.
Well, I want to do the hat trick. I want to come back as Madam T.
I thought you said, well, you did say that, but when you said hat trick, I thought there was going to be some sort of hat trick involved. Like a rabbit or something.
Considering you're such a football fan, I didn't expect you to think that. But yeah. I mean, technically I've already done the hat trick.
You have.
But as an adult, I need to do the hat trick.
After Madam T, is there anyone else you could play? I guess not, really.
I mean, Cosette's the only other female role that I could have played, but I'm not Cosette. That's not my castability at all.
Yeah. Honduras.
Yeah. Love that. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We've had some lovely emails today. Lovely emails. Absolutely fantastic emails. Lovely jubbly emails. There's a good one from someone called Rachel Gadd. And it is good because there's fan art involved. And it's me, it's of me, as Hans.
Oh, I think I saw this come through, but I didn't open it. Oh, that's really good.
You guys can see it now. It's cute, isn't it?
Yeah, really cute.
So a quick shout out to Rachel for that.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I like it. It's really sweet. Hee hee. So lovely emails, guys. Fantastic emails. Lovely emails. So this one, this little email is from someone called, I'm gonna go Alicia McGovern or Alicia.
Could be Alicia.
Sorry if that's wrong. They want to know about musical theatre slang, which is a thing that I don't know if it happens or not. And I could only think of two things in the West End that are things that people might say. And they've specifically asked on the West End.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can think of any slang words that we sort of use. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So what I did, I put the two ones I sort of thought of straight away, and then I did some like theatre-based, not slang, but like terminology.
Yeah.
That people might be like, what does that mean again?
Yeah.
So I wrote a little list. So the first one might surprise you, because you're like from down here, and this is like your area. But when I moved to London and worked in the West End, when people use this term, I was like, what? And it is in town.
I knew you were going to say that, yeah, in town.
That is weird for me. Not anymore, but it was at the time, because I remember being really confused. So basically, say there's two productions of Kinky Boots, whatever, and you were like, hey, I'm in Kinky Boots, and they'd be like, oh, on tour or in town?
Yeah, tour or town, yeah.
And you're like, what? West End? And they'd be like, yeah, in town. So in town is like the equivalent of a West End.
London town, yeah.
Which is a thing that I wouldn't have known, because I'm not from London. We've all been around. I didn't train in London, so it's not like I went to like Arts Ed.
Yeah.
This was all sort of new to me, but yeah, in town. So when someone says, I'm in a show in town, it will mean a West End show.
Yeah, it specifically means London town.
Yeah. And the other one, which is a little slang thing, is a West End tattoo.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what a West End tattoo is?
West End tattoo, yeah.
She hasn't got an itch on her neck.
No.
It's a clue. So basically, a West End tattoo, for people who don't know, is during a show, the night before or whatever, most people, like 90% of people, have tape here. You've probably seen it, like to like stop the wire from their mic flying about on their back and just keeping it all like tucked in. So have this like clear tape, which is a nightmare to get off. Like really, if you do 8 shows a week, even if you like scrub it off like in the shower, you might always miss a bit, and it's just really annoying. So basically, the next day or whatever, actors in the West End will have this like outline of like not sellotape, but like this sort of tape.
Yeah, it's sort of like
it's the glue.
Like glue.
It's like the residue off the tape.
It's from where you've like been sweating, and the glue has started to come off, but it kind of goes like a weird, like grey.
It's like black. It's like putty, isn't it? It's like gluey and gloopy, but it just sort of sticks there. It sounds horrible, but unless you like actively remember to do it, like who like washes the neck like that in the shower?
You can't see it.
Yeah. You sort of rub it and go, okay, and then you get to work and someone will be like, ooh, West End tattoo.
You've got your West End tattoo.
And you're like, oh, and you'll still have your tape mark from the night before. So that's West End tattoo. And then after that, I sort of ran out of ideas. So I've just gone for like terminology we use in theatre, which are weird words, I think, to describe what it is.
Yeah.
So the first one, very basic, but blocking. Again, that's a term where you're like, what? If you don't know, because you'd call it staging.
Staging, yeah.
But if someone's like, oh, we're doing some blocking, they're like, what, you playing Jenga? Do you want to describe what blocking is?
It's all like the movement that you do that isn't necessarily choreography. So even if it's just even if it's just walking from stage left to stage right, that's blocking.
Yeah. Blocking scenes, like, more basic, so not like musical staging, so not like a big like dance number, but just like your scenes or whatever.
Yeah, I've just thought two.
Oh, go on then.
Traffic,
yeah.
your traffic on stage. So if there's like a scene where there's loads of people on stage, you need to figure out your traffic. Basically, it means you all know exactly where you're going so that you don't collide with anyone on stage. Because if it's sort of like left up to you and there's like loads of people who all need to like cross to different places, that is something that would need to be blocked. That's something that has to be staged, because otherwise it could be dangerous, or someone could get hurt or knocked over, or there might be like a set piece that no one knows about that's going to be there but isn't there because you're in a rehearsal room. So you need to figure out your traffic.
Yeah.
So that's how everyone like moves around each other to make sure no one gets hurt or bumped into. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you see like a musical theatre clump in, as we call it, in a show, that would have been perfected. It sounds really stupid because you just say get in a clump, but then it would probably be the same every night.
Yeah.
People would move and cross people a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's like your traffic. And in a swing, we'll have to learn that, which is annoying, but yeah.
I just thought of like an actual slang thing from Les Mis, but it doesn't exist anymore, which I'm really sad about.
Yeah.
But in the bows of Les Mis, the old version, we used to have something called the lozenge.
Wow.
And the lozenge was basically, you'd all come on for your individual bows, then Valjean would come out and we'd all come together, we'd all bow together, and then we'd all run off except for Valjean, and then we'd all run into what we called the lozenge, and it was basically just that shape on the stage, like a lozenge shape, like a big like oval. And they don't do it anymore. Now we all run back in like lines, like 3 long lines, but it used to be called the lozenge, and we also, it was just, they called it the lozenge because it was lozenge shape, but also it was an unconventional bow because we'd all run in together and have like arms around each other. So we'd all create like this big like Les Mis human wall instead of being like, you know, very, you know, the like decorum of like holding each other's hands and like lifting hands and then bowing. It was all like that's together.
You reminded me of Chris Bailey, the choreographer for Back to the Future, because our last bow, or like our penultimate bow, was sort of that.
Yeah.
And he called it a clumpany bow.
Oh, well done.
There you go, a clumpany bow. Yeah. So blocking, done all that. Striking.
Striking, yeah.
Again, a word where you're like, what the hell? Sounds like someone's having a fight, but it's not. It's basically, say there's a prop or a bit of set piece which can be moved by a singular person. It's like striking a chair, which will mean you pick it up and take it off.
Yeah, it's basically just taking something off stage.
Yeah. So you might strike something together. So if it's a bit heavy, maybe like a single bed. Yeah. You might have 2 guys, whatever, just normally actors, because it's on stage, strike the bed and take it off. Which is pretty easy striking. It's hard when you're putting it down. I'm just thinking, I've done it before when I've come out with a prop, and you guys will see it on stage, all the little like glow tapes.
Yeah.
And you're like, where's my mark? It's so hard. Like the first couple of times you're doing it, because it's to line it up perfectly.
Yeah.
We had these big lockers in Back to the Future, which were heavy, but amazing props. But me and Will used to move ours, and to get it like bang on, because they had to line up perfectly as well, and it was on a revolve. Oh, it was like really hard to do, but yeah, it's fine taking stuff off, but actually like putting stuff on the stage is like really hard. Page the curtain just means this. That's normally done by crew maybe, or like ASMs if
Yeah.
like you've got a prop in your hand, for example, you need someone to page the curtain.
Or if it's like really dark, because usually
Yeah.
all the curtains are black. So if the lighting's like really dim on stage and obviously is dark off stage,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to see the curtain. You're just like running into like a big black curtain. So
Yeah.
usually someone will like page it for you, move it out of the way, and shine like a little torch on the floor so you can see where you're going.
Yeah, that's something I was late to paging.
Page the curtain,
Yeah, never heard of it really, then just heard it and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Gobo! Gobo the clown. This is a bit more technical, but I love a gobo.
I don't think I know this one.
Do you know what a gobo is?
No.
It is what shines on stage. So you put a gobo down, so it could be like the fans
Oh, okay.
in Heathers.
Heathers, yeah.
Or stuff like that, so like, or like autumn leaves.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's your gobo.
Ah, I don't think I knew that. I know special.
Yeah, put in a special.
Get in your special, yeah. I had a few specials in Heathers and
That's a good one.
I used to not be in them all the time. That was like one of my biggest notes in Heathers, like, Carrie, you're not in your special. Sorry.
Yeah, so your special is like a spotlight or like a special light that's just for you. So,
yeah, like the Heathers had specials because they were all in their colours.
yeah.
At the end of Candy Store, so we'd all have our specials. So I'd be in blue.
That was really
red.
good, that.
Yeah.
I love that lighting bit. We've talked about this one before, but I'll say it anyway. Sits probe.
The sits probe.
Sitting down rehearsal, right?
Yeah. It's weird that we don't have an English word for it because we've just borrowed the German word.
Yeah.
So any time I talk about a sits probe in a video, loads of people from Germany are like, oh my god, you say sits probe.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We love it. And I think they use it in America.
There are certain words that we just don't have, like Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Like we use that in everyday language. Well, not everyday language, but I hope not everyday language. But like that's a word that we use because we don't have a word for it.
Yeah. So a sits probe. Do you want to sort of explain what it is?
It's literally just a sit-down rehearsal. It's a day when it's usually the day that you have the orchestra for the first time, and you won't do any blocking. You'll all there'll be like mics set out at the front, and then the orchestra, and you'll all sit together, and then you'll go up when it's your turn to sing one by one. It's a really exciting day. It's always like a really special day.
Oh, it's so fun.
Because it's the day that you hear what everything's going to sound like, and it's always a bit nerve-wracking as well because you're even though you've been singing in front of the cast for the last like 4 weeks, because sits probe is usually like right before tech, so it's right before you go into the theatre.
Yeah.
It's like really nerve-wracking because you know that no one's like, usually everyone's on stage doing their own thing or doing their own blocking and their own like in their own little world on stage, but now it's like they're all just looking at you. So like it's just so exposing, and usually like the producers are there, the director's there,
Everyone's
like
there.
Everyone who is to do with the show is there.
Yeah, the room is just full of people.
Yeah.
But it's really like, I really enjoy it because the pressure's off, if that makes sense a bit. It's not as much, like, it's a bit more fun and relaxed. Because at the end of the day, I would agree that the sits probe is more for the orchestra.
I was going to say, yeah, it's more
it's for them. Like, it's for them to play through the whole score.
Yeah.
Back to the Future, for example, none of the singers, like the cast, got any notes or anything. It wasn't like, oh, watch out, you're a bit sharp. It was just like, oh, you just sing along. But yeah, the guy on guitar, can you give me more whatever? Like, and it's more about the band.
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of us being there for the orchestra, really.
So they can hear you sing and hear the full sound, but yeah,
and
it's
also
more for the orchestra.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, in every sits probe I've ever been in, there are times when they're like, sorry, stop, so can we go again? Because we actually need to pause a bit longer for that moment because there's something going on stage that the orchestra won't know about.
And what's really good with a sits probe is that you recognise or really witness musical genius.
Yeah.
Like, when people are like, no, it's wrong. Excuse me, like, and they'll be like, guy at the back with the violin, I think you're playing something wrong, mate.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, just whatever he says.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you hear that?
You know?
There's like 20 people playing, there's a person singing, and they're like going through these massive like orchestrations.
Yeah.
Going, yeah, and they're talking between them, going, yeah, I think he's wrong. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm like, how? It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So much talent. But yeah, that's really exciting. And then finally, this is a bit of a weird one, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Downstage, upstage, stage left, stage right. Can get confusing for people who don't know the slang or the terminology. So, downstage, down towards the stage, upstage at the back. Then stage left and stage right is
from the actor's point of view.
Yeah, from our perspective, which is hard when you're a director, choreographer. Well, by then you're used to it, but they're always in the auditorium during rehearsals or tech, so they've got to like reverse what they see. If that makes sense.
Left and right. Yeah.
They're left and right, so if they're looking left, they're like go stage right, whatever.
I've got a couple.
Go on then, let's do it.
Wiggy.
Wiggy.
We call them wiggies. That's just anyone who works in wigs. They're like, that's just what they're called, wiggies.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard them ever called like the person from wigs. They're just the wiggy or the wiggies. Track is always one that I get a lot of comments on when you talk about your track.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what does that mean? The only way that I can like explain it is that everyone has a track that goes from start to finish. It's like the beginning of the show to the end of the show. Anywhere that you go and any like blocking that you have, any lines that you sing, any solos that you have, that is all part of your track. So then when it gets confusing is when like swings step in and they have to split tracks. So they'll have to figure out what one person does that's more important than the other person, because maybe they've got like a prop to handle or something to strike, or and the other person doesn't, or this person has to take something from somebody else, which is like really important, because then the next they have to pass it on to somebody else who has to have it for the next scene. They have to figure out whose track is more important at certain moments and split them up. So someone might go from this person's track because they've got a prop here, but then they have to swap over to someone else's track because they've got a prop here, or they need to be somewhere to do something specific. Like, it gets really complicated if you're a swing. Whereas for most people, their track is just from A to B, and it's whatever they do in that time that is their track. And my last one is Tannoy.
Okay.
Because a Tannoy is one of those things like a Hoover.
Yeah.
Where Hoover is actually the name of the brand. The thing itself is a vacuum cleaner. Tannoy is the same. Tannoy was just the name of the most famous speaker system brand. Yeah. And they're no longer made by Tannoy. I don't think Tannoy exists anymore. Yeah. But the one at Les Mis wasn't a Tannoy. It was just a random like speaker system. But we still call it the Tannoy.
What's said on the Tannoy? What might you hear on the Tannoy?
The Tannoy is for all of the calls that go out backstage at the theatre. So beginner's call, 5-minute call, half-hour call, any like cast announcements. Like they'll at the beginning of the half-hour call, they'll be like, this is your half-hour call, and tonight's covering is as follows, and then it'll be like, so-and-so is on for Jean Valjean, so-and-so is on for whoever, and it'll be like down to like all of the ensemble members. So if loads of people are off, like you'd be like, oh my god, they've been speaking forever. Any like silly announcements, like maybe it's been someone's birthday and they want to let them know that there's cake in room 2, stuff like that.
What people might not know is that the Tannoy that we hear, the person who does the Tannoy is the person who does the Tannoy front of house. That's a little like gem, because they have two separate buttons.
Yeah, that's
I'm guessing, and it always goes wrong. Yeah. So we'll always get backstage, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show will be starting. For God's sake, and they press the wrong button. So I won't be surprised if some theatres out there have had. It's a DSM who does it.
It's my parcel. It's my parcel. Sorry.
Hold the line. Yeah, so it's... Welcome back.
Thanks.
It's the DSM, the Deputy Stage Manager, who does the announcements. So that person probably does mess up the buttons. But I never knew that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, I never knew that the DSM does both front of house and backstage. Well, that was that. Okay. That's a good video actually. Yeah. I was a bit worried that there wasn't going to be enough slang words or terminology, but
I'm sure there's loads that we've missed.
Yeah, there will be.
And there's also loads per show as well. Like certain shows will have different slang from other shows.
Well, if you think of any, make a little list. Yeah. Right, let's go then. Bye everyone. Bye. Be safe out there. Don't pierce your ear if you're not qualified. You get it done professionally.
I thought you said piss.
Piss your ear.
Don't piss in your ear.
No, pierce. And if you're going to do it, just make sure the needle's clean.
Don't do it. Don't encourage people to pierce their own ears.
Don't do it though.
Just don't do it. Don't pierce your own ears.
Don't do it, guys.
Bye.
Bye.